And now, let's start off with the most awaited part of today's summit, the panel discussions. So, for the first topic, the first topic of our first panel is how technology and analytics are reshaping Indian healthcare and pharma industry. So, just give me a brief moment to introduce you to our distinguished panel members for this panel discussion. And as I call upon your names, I would request you to one by one come and take a seat on stage. And as I tell you all the names of our panelists, I want a huge round of applause to go on till I finish talking. Can we do that? Yes. All right. So first we have Mr. Ventateshwar Rao Mallam, Technology Leader, Aurobindo Pharma. Please, sir. Our next panelist is Mr. Abdullah Salim, Group Chief Information Officer, Omni Hospitals. Next we have with us Mr. Pavan Chavakula, Chief Digital Innovation, Apollo Health and Lifestyle Limited. We also have with us Mr. Ashish Shekhar, Group Chief Information Officer, Mascon Group of Companies. The claps are going slightly softer, I can see. Yes, that's much better. Also we have with us today is Mr. Vijay Seshan, National Manager, Enterprise Accounts, Iron Mountain India Private Limited. And to moderate this discussion, can I have on stage Mr. Vipul Oberoi, Director, Marketing, CSR and Learning Solutions for Dun & Bradstreet, India. Over to you, Mr. Oberoi.
No. Yeah. Oh, it's for the audience, so that's fine. Yeah. Hello, everyone. So by the time we have this set up, but we have had really good presentations till now from the experts here, talking a lot about technology, talking about security, digitization, and of course digitization not just in healthcare and pharma sector, but it has transformed every sector. It's pervaded every sector, and in the recent years also, India has emerged as the largest supplier of generics and vaccines in the world, and this has been fueled a lot by digital technology and innovation. And in fact, there were a lot of views we were discussing when we were in a separate room earlier when we met in the day, and the profound impact of technology and data analytics can be gauged from there is an improved drug discovery process, the clinical decision making has been enhanced, and operations have improved, and overall it is benefiting the overall health control in the population. So there are a lot of real-time insights which we are getting through data and technology, and each of these experts here, and I'll first pose the question to you, Vijay, is that what do you feel have been the key digital technology trends in the past, say, a decade?
So, Vipul, after coming a lot of things I've been hearing from the keynote speaker.
So to you. Yes, it's on.
Okay. So one thing which I find is like a lot of people talking about the Bharat Abhiyan scheme, Indian scheme and everything. And what I find also like new government is very keen to implement this scheme, like unified healthcare services, right? And one of the key speaker before, keynote speaker talked about the digitization, what are the security rate and everything. So what I feel is like one of the key trends which going through is how we can move from the physical to the digital process. Like everyone is moving to the digital services now. We have the mobile app, we have the smart watches nowadays. And one thing which has really attracted me from an industry point of view, what I feel is like for pharma, healthcare, it's how we can cater towards the customer-centric. Like it can be patient-centric, it can be the pharma-centric, how we can move the physical to the digital. So we have a lot of things happening on the digital front. And second trend which I look is like not only converting to the physical to digital, how we can support that, right? How we can implement AI ML towards that. What kind of data we can extract that, how we can unlock the value, how we can help the end user to achieve that. These are two things which come up on my mind. So I left the cloud computing, yeah, cloud service, everything, because we talked about a lot in the previous slide. 49 has shown us how the cloud will work, and even Clouds is doing that. And they're doing a good job. And a lot of cloud services, cloud is becoming more secure nowadays compared to the what we used to have. Like from transformation became the maturity, and I personally agree with that. So, but basic stuff, what I find for last 2 years, if you ask me, apart from digital, I think a lot of guys will agree out with me. Like e-pharmacy, like online doctor consultations became a new trend which is coming up, and which is going to be there. Like I can see that it's going to be there, and that's where I find like where the India is going towards. Thank you.
Thank you. Ashish?
Yeah, in pharma industry, the key trends, of course, which is picking up is the introduction of this AI and ML. Now, the application of AI ML itself is a complete game changer. The thing is that if you have AI and ML in any pharma industry, you have the benefits, not just benefit, it will give you a clear edge against all your competitors. Your entire pharma industry survives on clinical trials. So your clinical trials, right from drug discovery to this testing process itself, the entire cycle time reduces by 80%. So if you implement this properly, this entire cycle time will come down. It's a time-taking process. Let me give an example. We don't have an AI. We are doing it manually. We are doing it this entire process manually. What will happen? We have to analyze number of chemical compounds, their chemical properties, their molecular structure, their biological impact, and then decide whether this compound is suitable for our clinical research or not. If you build a powerful AI system which has all these data feed in, that might be your intellectual this IP data or maybe data from public domain, and train that algorithm. And once it is trained, then you maybe for your own, you can also test it through some another set of data to see its accuracy. Once that is established, this entire process becomes a matter of minutes. So this is how it helps you. The clinical trial, of course, is the first thing. The other application of AI and analytics is coming in the field of clinical decision support system. This is only a support system. We are not there yet when it will become a decision maker. It can only help the practitioner to take a more informed decision. So based on the patient's medical history, it can tell you it can help you in diagnosing the disease or maybe recommending a treatment also. But still at this point of time, and maybe in times to come also, it will remain as a decision support system. Even with that, it's very, very useful. So these are the two things which I see in the clinical research. If you come to other areas, one is cyber security, which I think we have just having a session on that. It's so critical. So pharma industry is most prone to cyber attacks. Now what happens? We have a team of cyber attackers full day trying to target their victims. They are also as equipped as those solution providers. They also have the similar kind of knowledge. So while the solution providers are building a robust security system, they are spending time to how to break that system. Now, what happens? A security incident happens. Your cyber security provider is very smart. He managed to get that security incident, how that happened, and then he improved his software, the antivirus or the cyber security system, and then that process may not happen again. But again, the cyber attacker will do it next time with some new technique. So this is an ongoing process. What AI ML can do, if you have a very well developed AI-based prediction system, what it relies on not just rule-based security, it relies on anomaly detection. So if there is a security breach, there will some anomaly happen. The cyber attacker cannot stop that anomaly from happening. Something abnormal will happen when a security breach happens. So if your AI system can target that, it can be more useful. Otherwise, this is an ongoing area, and still we don't have a 100% solution, but AI looks to be the most probable solution. At this point of time, we do have some AI-based solution, but there are a lot of false positive cases. False positive, I mean that there may be a lot of alerts which are not exactly security incidents, and that might lead you to miss out the real thing.
major trends, and Vijay mentioned being physical to digital is the second one. Pawan, do you agree with those, or is there any other trend you would like to highlight?
Firstly, thank you, Vipul, and it is really startling to see so many audience on a working day. So I think that's a rare feat that DNB could pull off. Thank you for Team DNB. Coming to be more contextual to what we do in an Apollo as an ecosystem, we are fairly the largest ecosystem within the Asia network. And if we were to say we play the phygital game, and we have a lot of omni-channel presence as well. And the global sphere of data itself is 33 zettabytes. And pegged to be growing to 175 zettabytes, which would be like 175 billion terabytes if I have to put it that way. So with that kind of data, there are a lot of rich data sets that are being created in the world today as we speak. We talk about early detection, we talk about the entire whole exam sessions on where you can detect early cancers. So we've been there, as Apollo, we've been playing that game a tad bit cautiously. We know, which direction we are taking. So phygital, of course, is a way forward because we have to coexist both in the physical and the digital world. Yes, there are attacks, there are, other cyber threats that might be, thrown at us. But I think we have all our guardrails put in place, and it is time for us to up the ante because the AI as a ecosystem is growing by and large, and it's gonna be a boon to the human race the way I look at it.
Sure, thanks. And Mr. Salim, so anything particularly in the hospital sector?
Thanks everyone. I think the security perspective and the data digitization perspective, everybody has given their inputs. But definitely I'll be talking about the hospital perspective. So we are talking about AI, ML, predictive analytics. All these are still in the evolving stage. And if you're talking about the digitization per se in the health industry, it is absolutely, it's growing on a very large scale, and it's adopting on a very fast track. But the clinicians are looking kind of longitudinal record to be in place. And on top of it, if the clinical decision support system at point of care, whether it is a primary care, secondary care, or tertiary care, if their clinical decision support system is working and giving the inputs to the clinical clinicians to treat the patient. I'll give them an example. For example, suppose in an oncology hospital, I'm there and the doctor has parked the diagnosis as a head and neck cancer and stage XYZ, having the size of the infected area, so and so forth. The system should supposed to tell about that whether it's supposed to be go a surgery or it's supposed to go for first for chemo. And if it is going for chemo, then what is the how many interval and in what fashion, in what breakup the chemo is supposed to be administered to the patient. So this kind of still they are demanding, but the question is, the big challenge is the way is the data. If unless the data is not there, the algorithm cannot be written and the algorithm cannot be tested out 100% with full proof. So still going on, and for example, if you see that e-prescription and data consolidations that has been evolved on a large scale during the COVID and post-COVID. So digitization perspective, healthcare industry is far ahead than comparing to other industries to adopt the technology. Earlier, it was in the last row in terms of adopting the technology. Now it is way ahead, and as it is an evolving stage, but it is going to give a lot of confidence to the healthcare providers, clinicians, and to having a goal that reduce the clinical errors. So that's where the industry is working on that. Over to you.
Mr. Venkat, do you feel that pharma sector is keeping pace with the technology trends?
Yeah, thank you. So still, I mean, still we are in the process of, usage of, or to say implementation of technologies. though Indian pharma industry, they started with implementation of ERP a decade back. Okay, um, for some modules like procurement, inventory management, warehouse management, and slowly the pharma industry started implementing laboratory information management systems, and yeah, some companies are still thinking, and some companies have just started implementing manufacturing execution system. And yeah, coming to the other systems like a document management system or learning management system, I should say, I mean, per my understanding, 15 to 20% of the industry only has all these applications implemented so far. So I see a lot of scope to go to paperless from paper-based systems. Then we can talk about integration of all these edge systems with ERP backbone, and then we can talk about what to say, the data analytics, and then the other advanced features. Of course, blockchain technology is something that we are compelled to use whenever we export medicines to USA and Europe. Say track and trace compliance, right from manufacturing of minimal saleable unit to pharmacy or hospitals. And in the training space for patient education, we can make use of augmented reality. And then in the pharmaceutical industry, for better training, virtual reality is something which can be utilized to for better training of pharma employees. Yeah. So. Yeah. That's
So
all.
you
Yeah,
what?
thank you.
So I get this picture. What Mr. Salim and you mentioned is that healthcare and pharma sector has really taken a leapfrog as far as backend technology is also concerned. The other panelists also spoke about the key trends are in the space of going from physical to digital, or phygital as we call it these days, and AI, ML, and big data playing a big role. Pavan, from a more from a healthcare lifestyle perspective, is there anything on the front end, the user based technologies or apps, do you feel is that something where India especially is still some time away?
I would not want to say that India is a laggard there. I think we are really acing that game now.
Okay.
And what's happening right now as we speak is there is a lot of lifestyle related point, like you rightly are picking up on that, Vipul. So most of us today have a smartwatch, right? And we talk about PPG, we talk about all of these applications which you're looking at a phone today, and you have your blood glucose to your SpO2, everything available at a fingertip now. And walking into a world like this, condition management again, which also has a lot to do with what pharma does, or digital therapeutics, which is a new buzzword in town again. I think there is a lot of evolution that is happening there. And when you specifically talk about lifestyle, you see a lot of the modern day youth also wanting to have devices on them, constantly talk to an app rather than willing to talk to a I was just reading an article from Google the other day. So Google was in our office where there was a conversation saying that the 18 to 34, the typical age group or the baby boomers that we were talking about of yesterday's date, today say it is internet first and the doctor next approach. So there is a lot of play, and hence I was stressing on the point of omni-channel and phygital coexisting, because the key decision makers are the guys between the age group of 34-59, because we take the decision on behalf of the family. But the 18 to 34 is a crowd who are more internet first and the doctor approach. And we have to create a solution which is more of a mixed bag. And hence there is a lot of lifestyle impact, and the front end, the front facing apps that you are talking about, all the EAUs for that matter, not just us as Apollo, all the EAUs that you see in the market, even the likes of Ayushman Bharat, you can pick a product like Eka Care, which also has a lot that they are trying to do on the, the front-facing lifestyle choice itself for the consumer.
Sure, thanks. But that again requires a lot of data. And Ashish, any thing you would like to say on the challenge of using AI for consumer technology or for the kind of collaboration which various players in the pharma sector can do?
Well, the challenge of using AI for pharma industry, the biggest challenge is the unique structure of pharma industry itself, because it's very heavily regulated and data protection is very, very critical to this. So these two are the biggest challenge in adoption of AI. So AI asks you what? AI asks you to put all your data into that machine learning algorithm. Then only that algorithm can be trained. But you, as a pharma company, you will like to preserve your data as much as you can. You wanted to put it your all the rest data and transit data so that there is no leakage of the data. There is the data doesn't get compromised. But AI wants you to do just the opposite. So that's one challenge. The second challenge, let me just also tell you how to fix this part. The only way to fix is that despite all this, AI has got immense application, and you must realize that solution lies in encrypting the data. You should have a good technology which encrypts the data so that it stays safe. Even your machine learning tool is a SaaS-based tool. If it is encrypted, it is not exposed either at rest stage or transit stage. I think more or less safe. So you should consider this from the encryption point of view. The second point is the regulation, because AI, this pharma industry is very heavily regulated. So entire processes and the clinical trials, everything fall under strict regulation. There are multiple audits. So what most companies think is that once I implement AI and also go for a digital transformation, that SOIM regulations might apply to this digital transformation also, or if that applies, what form it will be, whether my system will still stay compliant or not. So these are a couple of concerns. So this needs to be addressed. Let me just make you one thing very clear, that regulatory bodies never ask you not to go for digital transformation, but there is a method to it. So companies should focus on how to be compliant and go for digital transformation both at the same time. So these are the two critical issues which I see major challenges in pharma industry.
So sharing of data, that is important, as you mentioned, that's a challenge. But regulation also talks a lot about data protection, and possibly this digitization of data, which is right up your alley. And so you probably can answer the question of what will come first, chicken or the egg.
So Atul, I pick up what Ashish was talking about implement of AI, and one thing which Pawan also talked about, Z of data is lying down, right? And before going to Z of data, I look at almost like every hospitals, every healthcare company is still with the physical, right? If you're going to digitize that, where are you going to put it that? What are the, how secure is that? Where are you going to place it? How are you going to do it? And one key challenge, a lot of people, I think, uniformly we agree on the compliance part, audit part. And if you want to clear this audit, you need to give them what they need when they come for audit. And one challenge they all face is like how to find that. So that's what it comes to. AI/ML comes to that part. And what artificial intelligence does is that it goes to the entire document and get the entire data, and it unlocks the potential of what data they have. And one, how we can compare with the security aspect is that we can create something called policy center. What kind of policy they have, what are the regulations they go through, and how we can write a rule for the AI and where this data resides. So that play a big part. I think to give you an example, we're working with one of the big hospital chains. What we do is like we digitize all this record, we put in a cloud-based platform for them, and we put a set of rules. And we make sure that there are certain things be shared with certain departments. Like for example, they say the other number of the patients should be blocked, yeah, masked to other department, except to the one which the payment cycle. So we done the masking. And there's a one department asks that we do clinical trials. We want to understand the results. So they want to mask the name of the people, person name and the ID. Only the case history, what the disease, what the medicine is given to them. So it's a potential is huge. Only thing is like we need to find out how to do it. And there are a lot of companies like Iron Water is helping a lot of customers there nowadays. How we can write the rules, how can help get this done.
Yeah. Salim, building on what Vijay was mentioning about building a policy center, and that would ensure not just ensure security as well as efficiency of data within departments. Do you think something like this can also be implemented everywhere?
I'll just talk about the healthcare perspective.
Sure.
If we'll talk about, there is an accreditation called NABH, JCI, and HIPAA compliance. All these talks about, okay, and they have enhanced their section as well, that the data security perspective, data sharing perspective, and in what form and what technology the data is supposed to be shared from one organization to other organization. There's a standard protocol they have put in the place.
Okay.
So, if of course the data digitization cannot happen unless the interoperability is there in place.
Mike. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. Thanks.
Sharing data from one organization to other organization, or sharing the data from equipments to the application to the equipments. So all these are there, and the topology has been defined into the healthcare, and it is globally accepted. For example, I'll tell you one example. Suppose ICD-10. ICD-10 is globally used by entire healthcare fraternity, healthcare organization. So in international code of disease. So this is a standard one, right? So if I'm a malaria, so the particular code is there across the world. The malaria code has been given to that, and across the industry it will be mapped with that. And on that code, why it is important that whenever the interoperability is going to happen, then the clinical reminders, clinical notifications is going to be happen on that particular values, right? So it's very much is there, and the implementation perspective, all these going to be implemented unless the ground level longitudinal record is not being maintained. There's no question. The question is let the organization maintain the longitudinal record as a EMR, means within the organization, as a EHR beyond the organization. So obviously it is there, and just the adoption is happening, and Ayushman Bharat is one of the great initiative. It is going to insist the public and private sectors to be on digital. Otherwise, it is impossible for private sector to talk about the top line, bottom line. It's not possible. Reason being, today there is almost 1500 package has been already published by the Ayushman Bharat, where all the public and private sector supposed to treat those patients, and it is impossible if it's coding standard is not there, security, data sharing security is not there, the compliances is not there. Only one compliance in Indian healthcare is struggling to get the green signal from the government for the voice recognition. So I think very soon it will be there in the place. Over to you.
Sure. And when we talk about, you specifically talked about data which should be shared not within an organization but also outside. And of course, health is not something which is an individual's concern. It's not just a city or a nation's concern. It's a global concern. And the cross-border sharing of data, and how do you ensure regulations are up to date and in fact flexible enough to address this global concern? Any thoughts on that?
I'll again give the example of the Ayushman Bharat. It is going to take on a global. When we have got every citizen has got their data, and with the consent of the individual, the data will be accessed by any healthcare provider. Once we reach that, definitely the global will match with the any country, right? Where because the standard will be there, the topology of sharing the data will be there, and all the coding standard in the healthcare, it is unique, which is across the country. No matter there are suppose ICD-10, LINC, and LINC code, ICD-10, CPT, SNOMED, all these are the coding standard which talks about to map the diseases, and it is being accepted across the globe. So first let's on the country level, let's work towards the Ayushman Bharat, which is down the line, 5 years down the line, it will be completed. in terms of the interoperability, and there will be no concept of EMR. EMR will be there, but of course the next step is towards the EHR. Towards going to the EHR, electronic health records, means that data is supposed to be accessed from any healthcare, but the prerequisite is the EMR first. If the EMR is in the place, then the EHR will take place, and the EHR after that we can go for the globally for any country.
Definitely, one step. Definitely one step at a time. And Pawan, when you're talking about one step at a time, and of course, that is also because not everything, Rome wasn't built in a day. And there is the, what can we say, what are the challenges that would be there, even if we do it in a more phased manner?
Yeah, I think the phasing out, yes, of course, we all walked into a world where it is all agile and scrum now. So we do do it at a different level, and if it is manufacturing, maybe Kanban or something that we are using there. So just to also add to what you were asking last, I think the lines have blurred between the geographies now. I was couple weeks ago, I was in the US talking to my counterparts in the US healthcare. What we see is there are a lot of parallels that we can draw from the global spectrum itself. Hence, I started the dialogue by saying, the global data sphere itself is 33, zettabytes of data that we're looking at. So what we see is while you're facing it out, there is always an MVP, right? So what is your minimum viable product that you will want to go out into the market with? Because it should resonate with the common audience of the day to day. And the progress has been so brisk that we need to stay put in this game. And when it comes to any omni-channel experience, because Apollo as an ecosystem, we have all the moving pieces that we are discussing on the forum today here. Like we have a pharma, and in every 2 kilometers you have an Apollo pharmacy. Then we have the Apollo hospitals as an ecosystem, and then the entire primary care as a setup, right from diagnosis to dialysis to sugar, which is lifestyle, and all of that put together. So there is definitely a phased out development. What are we attacking? How do we stay put in this race? I think the way forward is this. And we've been a constant advocate of AI, and we've been using it quite liberally, if I have to say it. And of course, with all the guardrails in place.
Is a global company. Iron Mountain is a global company. And what you would have first-hand experience of the challenges that you would face?
It's a couple of challenges. What we face is like people lack of understanding the technology when it came to starting point. When they understand, they want to implement it. When they implement it, like they find it useful, and they're expanding. If you look at like currently, if you ask me, I think we are managing more than 1 billion medical records with us, and we have more than 10 million digital pathology slides. And this is really helping all the hospitals and pharma companies. The reason is like, I think one thing raised by Salim is like, we have the data, but what should I get from the data? Like these pathology slides give a lot of information what we can get it. And it's helped to make an informed decision for them to what kind of drugs to be used, right? And also we are working with something like how we can integrate the entire full ecosystem. Like I like with what Pawan talked about, the interconnecting all the, from where you pick up the blood sample and identifying it and the hospital chain and everything, right? Unless you're not connecting all the ecosystem, it's going to be tough. And all this can be done through a common platform to be there. Like, so much of data, and you need to get what the reliable, it should be reliable, and you need to get what actually. And there's so much duplicate data also available in the system, right? And your system, AI should enable to get only those data, and it should use kind of advanced cloud computing kind of system to understand that, okay, for this kind of data is required. So rather than, I think there is a one article, someone is talking in the morning, like more than 5 million error cases happening in US, which are advanced country. If you look at India, most of them is a physical format now. So we don't know how much is happening. To reduce that, the data should be reliable and the AI should be advanced enough to get what we need. And there is a mechanism to verify that also. That's pretty important. And when we're going to connect to the entire ecosystem, that's where it will be successful in Ashman Bharat also. Because Ashman also going to the unified healthcare system, and until it's not interlinked, it's going to be difficult. And one more thing, people talking about the data a lot of here, but a lot of data lies in the people individual system also. So people use the mobile, people use the smartwatches, people use the laptops. So even the company use it, right? A lot of information lies in that. And that's again a security threat. Like if you talk, I was talking to one of the hospital, they were very reluctant to put the data in the cloud. The reason is like, what is chance of data leakage is available there, right? And but when I ask the same question, say, what do you do with this, all these laptops and systems and all the machineries? So they throw it away. So again, data breach is there. So we need to cover the entire life cycle. How are we going to cover everything? Even you want to destroy anything, video of the records, yeah, destroy the digital assets, we need to take, someone has to take care of that. How it is happening, whether it's certified is there. I think I like one of the slide present by the one of the keynote speaker talk about all the certification compliance, like SOC2 certificate for the cloud. He talked about the ISO 20001 for digital part. He made something like how to dress, like how to let go the data which is in the digital format, because most of them are getting digital. Something like auto certification, yeah, e-stewards should be there because it covers the entire life cycle.
Is there any question from the audience? We can probably take that up. Yeah, there is. Thank you. Can you please introduce yourself before asking the question?
Yeah, I am Srinivasachari. I represent Refine. We are a audit service company as well as we do the GMP consultancy and some digitization consultancy also. I speak from my personal experience, mostly actually resonating with the members' ideas presented. Closer to the end customer, it seems that the digitization and the AI, etc., have become a reality now, and a lot of people actually are embracing these new technologies. I mean, I have my own personal experience of using continuous glucose monitoring system for about 8 weeks, and then knowing which food actually is causing how much of a spike in me in the blood glucose level, and so that I could actually control my eating, I could change my eating habits and then etc., which has greatly helped me actually as a person. But when you look at the other side, the manufacturing industry, if you see, they are moving at a very, very slow pace. They are probably they are taking up ERPs and its implementation, etc., organization level, etc., mostly finance, accounts, and sales and etc. But then when it comes to the manufacturing, automation of manufacturing, quality management systems and etc., there is a lot of hesitation. Is it because, my question, is it because there's one fear of loss of control, because there are regulations and there's a question of data integrity issues and etc. Mostly the smaller companies, basically. I'm not talking about the companies like Arvindo and etc. They have already moved on. They realize the importance of this. But then there are very lot of smaller companies. They still work on manual systems and etc. And if they upgrade to the automatic systems and etc., there's a fear of loss of control over the whole thing. Is that the reason one? The second one is also the fear of loss of security, basically, which you have addressed. I think I would panel members to, yeah.
Loss of control of data and loss of and the security issues.
Yeah, fear of loss of control over the process, basically, because there are regulations and there's a data integrity issues, basically.
Firstly, thank you for bringing up the CGM. I think we walked into that world where we are all digital savvy. That is very reiterating. Coming to the point of the loss of control itself, I think all the guardrails are set, and now the trend has tilted more towards FOMO now. Everybody has the fear of missing out. So they essentially want to be there, and now there is a lot of learning that is happening in that space where they will want to go in that direction. And hence the rise of the chat GPTs of the world, the new buzzword that we see. There's a lot of adoption that is happening. Of course, at a slower pace, like you rightly pointed, but there is definitely a lot of adoption that is happening. I was speaking to Google team on the generative AI and what they are working there. You won't believe there are a lot of startups who are subscribing to that thought process because it's a low-hanging fruit for them and it's not going to shake the ground under their feet. So there is definitely a trend that is going towards, not much of a loss of control, but we want to stay put in this race, to answer to the first point. What was the second question? Sorry, I missed that. Yeah, see, I think security is a common phenomenon that is thrown, but we have, somebody who was talking about security and how we can adopt to the new age thought process. There are a lot of vendors who are supporting there, a third-party audit which will come in handy, and the way the coding or the structure we've been talking about monolithic to microservices architecture, how the evolution has happened, and how the security as a layer. We all moved into a world which is now public cloud. So if we all somewhere are subscribing to the thought that we can coexist with dime a dozen other players on a cloud, I think we have gone beyond the layer of security and we've upped the game there. I'm just as a representative for all the folks that are sitting on the panel today. I think security is something that we have very keenly considered, and these are all the top CIOs that we are looking at. I'm sure it is well guarded. And thank you for the question.
You want to add something?
I just wanted to, tell my perspective. It is not because of fear of loss of control or the data integrity. It is because of not fully structured existence of IT within pharma industries. That is one thing. I mean, the small scale industry I'm talking about. And when there is no strong IT team, finalizing the right tool or right technology to implement will be a challenge. And with the employees that they have, right? So even if an advanced tool is implemented, making use of the tool, is another challenge. Okay, and not only small industries, even if you take bigger industries which have multiple manufacturing sites. So let's take companies like Pfizer, Novartis. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm mentioning the names. When their sites are spread across multiple geographies, implementing technology in one site. Okay, then they are called sites and digital silos. And then bringing them into network, it is not that easy. We need to have years together of roadmap, and then alignment among people at sites, among people at corporate. So it's not that easy task. But for sure, it is not because of loss of control or data integrity, for sure. Okay, yeah. Implementation of these systems will definitely bring in compelled discipline and data integrity in place. But when these systems are implemented, to ensure data integrity, particularly in the case of complex electronic systems, when they are integrated, proper validation, when I say it's not paper-based validation, from paper-based validation to paperless validation, top companies are still transforming. So that is also important. Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, if that's a quicker one, because
yes,
in the interest
I'll make
of
it
time.
very quick.
Thanks.
It's very related to the cybersecurity. Sorry, I'm from Cloud4C. I'm Madhavi. We help a lot of healthcare and pharma sectors in their transformation journey. So I just have one slight question that most of the talk that you've been concentrating on, it has been about predictive and being proactive. When it comes to cybersecurity, what's your take? Because we also serve other industries like banking, fintechs and all. What we are witnessing them doing is it's getting more proactive, predictive. They want us to do things like penetration testing, vulnerability assessment, continuous security assessment. In fact, for some of the banks, I can't name them because we are under NDA, they want us to do the breach attack simulation. So we are actually going one step ahead or many steps ahead. We're doing the dark web monitoring for them. We're in an ethical way. Of course, we are trying to attack their environment and show them these are the vulnerabilities. I want to understand your take on how pharma and healthcare is looking at it.
You mentioned about this. Sorry, it's working? Yeah. So you mentioned about this predictive approach of cybersecurity. See, if we go for a rule-based cybersecurity system, the hacker is also equally intelligent. He's also equally equipped. Next day, he will find a new way out. Now you will again fix that loophole. Again, he will come back with a new innovation. So this is an ongoing process. Now, predicting, the best part is that it brings such changes in data while analyzing which hacker cannot beat. It makes your data abnormal. If some intrusion happens, then your data network execution log is not the same, which is a normal thing. So if somehow your AI can predict that anomaly, then it's very hard for the hacker to beat it. That's why this predictive is very, very critical, because that's the only thing which we can think of by to beat that hacker. The second thing is that, let me assume a situation we are not going for predictive. The second aspect is that, let me assume a situation the hacker has entered your system. The most important thing here, once he enters your system, your entire effort should be to make his task very, very harder. Once he gets to he goes inside, intrudes your system, he should not have access to everything. So the only option is that micro segmentation. So if you have an AI-based system which is predictive, which makes things which sends the alerts, which is more and more reliable. And secondly, if you have a micro segmentation of data, where he cannot get full access to the entire data, and again he will have to repeat the whole process to get the next layer of access, then I think you are much more safer. But thinking that you have got best security system and you are 100% safe, at least I don't agree with it.
Vipul. And we are coming to the end of this panel. I'm so sorry, I'm cognizant of the time as well. We can take the questions time. But summing it up, of course, the key trends which have been actually quite common amongst all panelists has been is that we are moving from a physical to a almost totally digital world. AI is giving us that kind of power, but with big data comes big responsibility, and therefore cybersecurity is the key here. And India is, like Pavan mentioned, is acing the game as far as consumer technology is concerned. That's very heartening. But there are certain challenges. The regulation is becoming more flexible, but it's also cognizant of the fact if it falls into the wrong hands, it will have disastrous consequences. So sharing of data is a challenge. The solution is better encryption. So for every problem, there is a solution which the panelists have mentioned, and still there is a lot of physical data keeping which is there. The geographical lines have blurred, and people don't fully understand technology yet. So there are, like Mr. Salim mentioned, the trust NABH, trust the standards which are being implemented. Don't get into FOMO, analyze, and probably most importantly, trust the experts who are there. So I thank all the panelists here for sharing their views, and a big thank you, round of applause to the audience here.
All right, can we have a huge round of applause for all our panelists? And I would just request you to be on stage with us for just a couple of more minutes so that Mr. Oberoi can hand over some mementos for all of you. I'll call out your names. So first we have Mr. Venkateshwar Rao Mallam. Next we have Mr. Abdullah Salim. Now we have Mr. Pavan Chavakula. Mr. Ashish Shekhar. And finally, Mr. Vijay Seshan. Can we also have a group photo with everyone together? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Oberoi. Thank you to all our panelists for such an insightful session.